The next reason why people don't evangelize is ignorance. Lack of knowledge. Do we really know our faith? And that's something that sometimes in different occasions, I know with myself, you get out there and you're talking to somebody and you lose your train of thought, or you get home and you're like, man, I wish I'd have said that differently, or I wish I'd have told him this or told him that, or you talk to somebody else and they said, why didn't you tell him this, or why didn't you tell him that? So then it's just an ongoing process where you keep trying to learn and where you can share your faith and evangelize properly. That's what the Cursillo movement's all about. One time, speaking of not knowing your subject, one time I was, after Father Fox had passed away, I was sitting in my office over there and I got a phone call from a radio station out of Philadelphia. It's a big Catholic radio station. And they said, can Father come and do an interview, or by phone do an interview? I said, well, I'm sorry, sir. Father had passed away about 3 months ago. And they started thinking, paused for a minute and said, well, can you do it? I said, yeah, heck, I can do it, no problem. You know, I'm the president of the Fatima Family Apostle. I can talk about Fatima. Well, anyway, we set the interview up. It was about a week later, and they called, and I got on there, and they started asking questions. The first 2 or 3 were pretty easy. What was the children's name? I could figure that one out. And as the questions got on, it got harder. I didn't know them. I was like, uh-oh, I'm into something pretty deep here, because this is a pretty big station. Well, they said, we're going to go to a break, because it was at the time of their break. As soon as they said we're going to a break, I jetted out of my office as quick as I could. I grabbed all the books about Fatima, threw them on my desk, opened up to the table of contents, had the man in the office that we had at the time working come in there and sit with me, fumbling through these, and had it on speakerphone so we can answer the questions. He had helped me and pass the books around. And the sad thing about it is I could have really helped our organization out if I'd known what I was talking about. I could have helped somebody out if I'd known what I was talking about. But instead, they hadn't called back again to do another interview, for one thing, and I really didn't do us any good, and I could have actually hurt us just because I didn't know what I was talking about in the message of Fatima at the time. And that's the same with when we go out and evangelize. We could actually turn somebody off if we don't know, what we should know, and if we don't present it properly. Let's see, the third reason why we don't evangelize is apathy. And that apathy is lack of concern for others. We just don't care sometimes. Sometimes we just want to walk the other way or act like we didn't see people in need. We don't want to evangelize. It takes too much time. It's too much trouble. But still, there's a lot that we can do, as parents to avoid these problems. Now, like everybody says, you can still do everything right and still have a problem. That's true. But I'd like to look back and say I did everything right and had problems, than to look back and say I could have done better and had problems. And so we'd have to take this in consideration and think of it now, especially if you have young children. I always think of it every day. My kids, help me be a good daddy, help me be a good husband, help me to do the right thing, Lord. Say those prayers at night before you go to bed. Help me do the right thing, because I'm scared. I don't know. I can do, like I said, you can do everything right. I don't know what my kids are going to do. So we have to continue to take it one day at a time and be able to share our faith with the children. The good thing about Ultrea is if you have endeavors, you can come home and talk to your family about it, and they get excited. As your kids get older, 13 or 14 years old, you want to get them in the spirit of having endeavors and talking to their friends. You want them to influence their friends. You don't want the friends to influence them. And that's what happens a lot of times. The outside world is so strong that if we don't get our kids strong enough, the world's going to take them. Let me see where I'm at here. The last thing I want to talk, that was the third, apathy, lack of concern for others. The last thing I want to talk about is I wanted to share with you about what I've been observing over the last 10 years. I think it's been 10 years since I made the Cursil, and with this Ultrea. And I'm not picking on the Ultrea or anything. I just thought somebody from the outside can come in and give a little insight to what I've seen over the last 10 years, just being here 2 or 3 times a year. What I've noticed is that there's about 7 or 8 people that share, and y'all usually have about 30 people here. So you only have really about 23% of the people sharing. And I know a lot of you guys, y'all have a lot, like I said, you have the talents, you have the abilities, because you know, I talk to y'all and y'all can talk, better abilities than I have. And it's something that, you know, we all can work on. And what I did, you know, when I made Microseal, like I told you before, I'm not an extrovert. So after I had to make Microseal, I started planning endeavors, because I wasn't the type of person that come up, hey, how you doing? Boy, it's good to see you. I'm Catholic, you know, and what church you go to? No, I'm not that type of person. I'd have to think it out. I'd have to plan endeavor. And this is especially for the young guys in the back too. Planning endeavor is the easiest way to get started, because once you plan endeavors, it gets you that ability to where it comes natural. The more you talk to people, eventually you just start walking and people, you'll start evangelizing without even knowing it sometimes. But it's a good way to maybe up the sharing at an Ultrea, is just kind of have some planned endeavors. Say, hey, I'm working with so-and-so this week. I want to talk to them. I want to make it a point to talk to them this week. And it don't take long. What are you going to spend, 10, 15 minutes maybe out of the week to talk to them? Maybe less. Or give them a pamphlet or a CD, DVD. You know, a lot of times we do better just giving a pamphlet or a CD or something like that, because, you know, if we lack, like number 3 or number 2, if we lack knowledge, it's better to go with the CD and DVD and then try to learn more. Like Father Fox always told me, he said, do spiritual reading. You know, 20 minutes a day is all you need. At least 20 minutes a day. But anyway, I want to end with this quote from Mother Angelica that I found, that I'm sure we've all heard before. Unless you are willing to do the ridiculous, God will not do the miraculous. When you have God, you don't have to know everything about it. You just do it. And that's what, since I've been part of this apostolate, that's what my kind of slogan has been: just do it. Instead of thinking about, you know, what do we want to do here? And like with the magazine and writing, if I come up with a good idea of an article, I just sit down automatically and just start putting my notes down, instead of waiting until later and say, I'll just do that later. So we just got to think of something. I know a lot of you guys, there's a couple of guys doing several different apostolates and different things. We got the homeschool organization. There's a lot of things that can be done to help grow and share the faith. God bless.